You're watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. Now, adding to the discussion, I would say discussants, here in the studio, we have Ude Umanta Igwe, convener, Coalition of Nigerian Youth Leaders, and Director General, Nigerian Youth Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurial Development. He also joins us to talk about Ibrahim Bello, who is also Ibrahim Dauda, rather, who is an aspirant that the youth in Nigeria, under the National Youth Council, is gunning for as the to be the vice president of Nigeria.
Yeah, before we went on break, you were talking about the qualities of Dr. Ibrahim Dauda.
Exactly.
And I want to ask, Dr. Ibrahim Dauda, he's a Kanuri man from Borno State. And Borno State is one area where Boko Haram has held sway for over 10 years. What are the specific, what does he have to, what is his plan to tackle insecurity? Or what will be his support to whoever is the president, if he emerges as vice president, to tackle insecurity?
Exactly. That's a very good question. You see, when Dr. Dauda came for this interactive meeting, and of course, we get to know people through time. We looked at his antecedents, we looked at what he has done. He has been a foundation member of this APC right from the CPC days. But beyond anything, he has been someone who has a knack, a desire to see that the issue of insecurity is brought down, and that security now thrives, a new order comes. Fortunately, if you go to Borno State today, you realize that Ibrahim Bello Dauda practically engages with the youth, not only in Borno State, but across the Northeast. He has been carrying on the message that the Youth Council has been preaching, that the war against terrorism is not only by weapons and by all of these military hardware. You have to also engage the youth positively. He has done a lot of empowerment programs, dissuading those who should have been recruited into Boko Haram. If you recall, when this issue of insurgency started in or got to its fall around 2010 or thereabout, how many Boko Haram people, insurgents did we have? The military has been fighting them, combating them, exterminating, eliminating, whatever words you will use, but you discover their ranks were increasing. And so from our findings, Dr. Dauda had a very strong engagement with the youth and said, okay, we have realized that these young people are easily recruited because most of them are unemployed, because there is no engagement with most of them. Society has seen them as the dregs of society. They have been neglected. And he immediately began to engage with all of these young people. You can see today the numbers are going down. Even most of the terrorists are giving up their negative attributes or their fight against the nation. They are coming back. So he has carried on the message. And we are very certain that in the seat of power as the number 2 man, he will spread this across because he has done this efficiently and effectively in his zone, empowering them and then mentoring and then also engaging positively. Now we know that once the APC does the needful, and by the grace of God, if he becomes the vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we can work with him to replicate this model in the Northwest, where banditry has become the order of the day. We can work with him to replicate this model of peaceful and harmonious relationship with the youth in the Southeast, where secession is becoming the order of the day, and across the country. And you'll realize that the issue of insecurity, beyond guns and bombs, would have used the right words, the right engagements, and youth empowerment to tackle all of
when we talk youth, we're talking about the very young people as well, right? And then in Nigeria, we have a very high figure of out-of-school children. And I'm putting this to Igwe. What are Dauda's plans? What are his thoughts on education?
Thank you. The first we start is what is Dauda's educational standing as a person. This man holds, as a young man, he holds a doctoral degree in business management, and has certificates from both within Nigeria and outside. He's properly educated. And to link it with what the president was saying, the link between the socioeconomic realities and even the insurgency is that the problem was that when Borno and Yobe and all these states started posting the figures about the out-of-school children, no practical attention was paid in trying to address them. And so it becomes not just a fatal ground for terrorism, but also to recruit foot soldiers. And so this is a man who himself, grew through the ranks of education, trained himself well and know the benefits of education, and has not kept it to himself within the foundations that is formed. That's why we say he's not just a politician. This is somebody we know through youth mentorship. That's actually how we got to know about him, through youth mentorship. And he has, as the Director General of Nigerian Youth Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurial Development, I know how many people that he has sponsored for training and development in skills, in entrepreneurship, and we know how many as a person. So, like I said, giving him a higher platform, especially to reach, because I keep saying this, the first time we talked about his presidency, somebody told me that I wasn't from the Southeast, where the presidency is also needed in terms of geographical zoning. And I said there are different kinds of zones. Without prejudice to our people in the Southeast, I am rather concerned about the youth zone. And I talk this with every sense of responsibility that in promoting we are promoting the youth zone, and someone who has acquitted himself within the youth zone, not using government resources. A very responsible young person who built himself and believed that we rise by building each other. And he has demonstrated it. And so I agree with you that practically the out-of-school children issue is one of the things that will be confronting the next government. And it is good to have a deputy who is not only affected by it within his own region, but who knows about it, who has worked with it, and who will keep it within the table of discussion within the Federal Executive Council.
All right. Now, also among youth, there are other, groups, women. There are young women as well who are in the same political terrain. So, how would his, becoming vice president give this, give some level of opportunities as well for other young people, who are also within the political realm and also in other fields of endeavor?
Thank you very much. You see, when we talk about leadership, for us at the National Youth Council of Nigeria, we have always said we want young people to rise to leadership, but you must prepare for power. Dr. Ibrahim Bello Eldabi is someone who has prepared himself. In the youth constituency, you have rightly said it, there are women there. There are children, younger youth who are from adolescent age, maybe from 15 and up to 18 and 21. And then there are also disabled persons. We have seen that the activities of Dr. Ibrahim Bello Dauda has cut across all strata of youth. The women, the disabled, persons with disabilities, trainings have been carried on. And then when you also talk about education, you see, not everybody will go to the four walls of the university. But education is to know, to have a knowledge that can be practically put to use. So Dr. Dauda is someone who has traversed all, so that even the market women, there is a kind of education for them. Those who are trading, there is a kind of education for them. Those who want to go to technical and vocational skills, there is also a kind of education for them. We've worked on all of these things. What we are saying now, and our firm demand, let us repeat it and let us make it very clear, that for the APC to get the support of the Nigerian youth, we are ready to mobilize and give this support. If Mr. President, we are reenacting this pact with him. From this, we wrote to him before now through the coalition of youth bodies. We are still going to write to him again after this primaries is concluded. That remember your pact, remember your covenant. Remember that you have believed in the Nigerian youth as the future that can sustain your legacy. Whoever comes in, what matters is an enduring legacy, a thread that goes on. for the Nigeria that the patriots, the patriarchs, our founding fathers dreamt about. In Dr. Ibrahim Bello Dauda, we see this individual. So we are still calling on Mr. President, and we are still assuring Nigerians that yes, there will be a better deal. Things are not perfect, but there are people, even in the private sector, who have been working. If they are given seats in the public sector, who are diligent, who are patriotic, their patriotism is not born out of anything but pure altruism to see that a new Nigeria is bettered, a greater Nigeria is bettered. And we are still calling on the party chairman. We want to repeat it, and we thank Daybreak for giving us this medium as youth to call on all stakeholders in the APC to ensure that this young man emerges as the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Party. All Progressives Congress.
All right, well, let me get Udem Mata Igwe to also, give us his own final word.
All right. Thank you. Talking about it, the question of the youth taking over or getting into the system is something like he said. There was a pact. All of us played roles, and we thank Yaga Africa and the young parliamentarians and other stakeholders who made the not too young to run bill now an act, to become an act now. And if you recall, as media, in assenting to that bill, the president praised the efforts of all stakeholders that work to that level, and say he agreed and he believes in the true spirit and letters of the bill, and requested the youth to support him, and that he will be willing to hand over to younger people. But when you look at the terrain now, when you look at even the APC primaries that's ongoing, that, somebody like me just left the venue a few hours ago, it doesn't look as if there are really quite young people that stands the chance. But you see, in politics is a thing of, give and take. What we are asking for is that if we cannot be the flag bearers, even when we are ready, like you say, we are not just saying that Dr. El-Rabi is young. We are talking about being young and ready, being young and capable. And we're saying that if we cannot be the standard bearer, we should be the running mate. In order for us to have the face to tell the young people, at least we are getting somewhere, let's follow this. If not, it will be difficult, because there is a youth o'clock that's been launched by the National Youth Council, and the youth must, of course, you already seen that 64% of the people that register to vote, and not only the youth, but our national youth policy is 18 to 35 years. Now 18 to 35 years constitutes 64%, according to INEC statistics. We are not even talking about the other people that do not fall, but are young people, those slightly older than us, who are now occupying another 28%. And so we are not going to be watching this vote and then giving it to people that are very, very close to retirement or retirement age. So the youth are going to utilize it. And we are saying that APC should take advantage of it or lose it. That's the message.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak and sharing, the knowledge about Ibrahim Dauda with us. We look forward to having you on the program again.
Thank you.
Thank you.